Okay, we're live.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I, Prometheus Siddiqui, would like to welcome you all to the closing session of the 12th Social Business Day. I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Aurora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land where I am in Sydney, Australia at the moment, and pay my respects to the elders, both past and present. During this closing session, we've got the privilege of listening to addresses from global leaders and advocates who firmly believe in the theme of this year's Social Business Day, which is building a new civilization before the current civilization destroys us. This closing session will draw on the global synergies of impacting change and speeding up the process of redesigning the fundamental concepts and institutions on which human lives are organized on this planet. The movement towards change, acknowledging the urgency of building a new civilization by building a world of 3 zeros, understanding the necessity of a new and improved system of education, healthcare, financial institution, sustainable peace, were all some topics which we discussed in plenaries for the last 4 days. We'd also like to, along with all the notable speakers we have with us today, I'd also like to give a shout out and acknowledge the presence of our friends and stalwarts of social business world, Enzo Curcio and Hans Reitz, who have joined us. So a big shout out to the two of you. Thank you for joining us, Enzo and Hans. And without further ado, I would like to request Ms. Monica to do the introduction of the first speakers. Monica, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prometheus. It has been a very fulfilling, enriching 4 days indeed. At this point, I'd like to invite Professor Apolline Chishugi, the Vice Chancellor of Tangaza University College, to give us some closing remarks. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much. Here it is evening, so greeting from Nairobi. And my name is Apolline Chishugi, as you heard. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Tangaza University College, which is a Catholic university here in Nairobi. I'm very honored and delighted to deliver the concluding remarks on the last day of this International Annual Social Business Day. It is an opportunity, it has been an opportunity for the actors in the social business community to come together from diverse disciplines, geographical regions, and sectors to dialogue around ideas, spur each other on, and forge new frontiers into the future we desire and are working towards. It is an opportunity to renew the commitment to an alternative civilization, a civilization that is inclusive, just, progressive, and does not gamble with the future of the coming generations. Let me appreciate your participation to this conference dedicated on poverty-free Africa through social business. During these days, you have been reflecting on how to build new civilization before the current civilization restores us. I am extremely pleased that international conference was well attended by various stakeholders, ranging from governmental officials and policymakers to industry practitioners and experts. For many years, Professor Muhammad Yunus, that it is my first time I see his face. I have read a lot from Africa, and we appreciate a lot. I also regarded as father of microfinance, the friend of the poor. You cannot imagine how we are loved here in Africa. As spearheaded the establishment and global progression of social business. As you know, social business aims at finding compassionate, practical, and long-lasting solutions to social problems while expanding opportunities for the people and the economy. Professor has emphasized an imperative for alternative economics frameworks to replace high waste, high energy, consumptive business strategies that the current world economic system is predicated on, and that is evidentially unsustainable, going by the tragic result we see around us, such as the climate crisis, wealth inequality, rampant unemployment, migration crisis, and cyclical economic instability. Professor has been trying to build a social business in pursuit of the vision of creating a world of 3 zeros: zero net carbon emissions, zero wealth concentration to end poverty, and zero unemployment through entrepreneurship for all. As an academic institution, Tangaza University College has a pivotal role to play in capacity development in creating a poverty-free Africa. This is where we need to invest resources to train learners who innovate and who can address the challenges of poverty. Tangaza has been in the forefront of training social entrepreneurs and supporting them to build sustainable social business. We are aware that we still have a long way to go in creating free Africa, yet we believe it is not an impossible dream. That is why the Social Business Day is important for different actors working together against poverty so that we can learn from each other and synergize our effort. To succeed in creating a poverty-free Africa, we need to strengthen our collaboration. Social Business Day 2022 has espoused a most noble yet audacious aim to create momentum and expedite the process of redressing the fundamental concept and institutions on which human lives are organized on this planet. Therefore, let me wish all of us a lot of energy, enthusiasm, shared trust, and resolve on our way toward achieving a better future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Monica. If you would like to continue doing the introductions.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I think my network had dropped there. It is my privilege at this point to introduce our next keynote speaker, Mrs. Zanele Mbeki, founder and patron of the Women's Development Bank, former First Lady of South Africa. Zanele Dlamini was born in Alexandria, South Africa. She studied social work at Wits University, the London School of Economics. She serves as a trustee and director of a number of national and international boards that promote gender equality, as well as social and economic development in poor communities. She's a lecturer, philanthropist, social worker. Her passion is making poverty history, zero poverty. She's the recipient of a number of awards, including the International Women's Forum 2014. The title was Women Who Make a Difference, and the Ellen Kuzwayo Award from the University of Joburg. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite Mrs. Zanele Mbeki to give us a keynote address. Thank you.
Madam Mbeki, you must be on mute.
Yes.
Perfect, we can hear you now.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, please.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica. May I add my own profound appreciation for being included in this inspirational family gathering and reunion of like-minded human beings. This is the third year of our participations as WDB Trust in this family, even though we were invited 12 years ago. For some reason, we did not understand that social business is pursuing the same anti-poverty goal that we were so engrossed in with microfinance. In the early years, the invitations that we received were located in Asia and Europe. However, as we reconnect today, I noticed that the UNIS Center is actively mobilizing African participation through African universities. Correctly so, because the African continent, which pre-COVID-19 held a huge promise of Africa rising, post-COVID, we are in a very different space. We are again a continent with the most need for the anti-poverty interventions that have been designed at the UNIS Center. Africa is in need of millions of 3-0 clubs, social business enterprises, in addition to microfinance institutions. If as a continent we can do that, we shall become participant in building a new civilization before the current one destroys us. Last year, on this platform, we interacted with professors from the Catholic University of Zimbabwe, the Makerere International Business School, Kampala International University, and later were hosted by the Mount Kenya University. On this platform, I met for the first time the University of Abomi, Calavi of Benin. As a South African whose country's higher education institutions of learning have not yet embraced the UNIS social business centers, it gives me hope that as a practitioner in the field, WDB Trust will benefit from the tutelage of these universities and their professors. We shall therefore seek support from our neighbors in the meantime. WDB Trust as a public benefit organization is a practitioner in microcredit. However, now we are experimenting with social business. We have recently invested 10 million in support of agriculture as a social business, enabling small farmers to upscale, aggregate, and de-risk their operations while migrating to more endemic and sustainable crops. We have experienced firsthand the effects of climate change in an unsustainable economy. This season, our farmers were challenged by unseasonal floods, close on the heels of COVID-19 and July socio-political unrest, all of which have added new entrants among the poor and unemployed in the area. We shall need guidance on how to manage this investment as a social business to create jobs. I hope that the African university that I have mentioned can cajole the University of South Africa, which has a huge footprint inside South Africa and throughout the African continent, to come on board by joining the UNIS social business centers and creative laboratories. The WDB Trust has also written to the managing director of Grameen Trust to request him to consider WDB Trust as a candidate replicator of Grameen America in South Africa. In ending, I join the billions of poor people around the world whose dignity has been restored because Professor UNIS was born. Through your birth, Professor, poor people became included in the global financial system and got back their dignity to fend for themselves. You have changed so many lives, and now you are about to turn the whole civilization upside down. A genuine revolution has been ignited because you were born. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you, Zanile. Thank you so much. Wonderful to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mbeki, for those encouraging words, encouraging all of us to make an impact, to connect, to collaborate, to seek guidance, to support each other. We'll certainly reach out so that we can work together and work together with South African universities and across Africa. At this point, we're going to listen to a recorded message from Sharon Stone. Many of us will know Sharon Stone as an actress, human rights activist from the US. The technical team will flight our message for us. Thank you.
The future is female. Statistics demonstrate that in America, we are on track to have 70% of America's wealth be female wealth in 10 years. Think about that. We're having a lot of pushback right now on women's rights. Think about what that means. The future is female. Invest in women. Transactional wealth really matters on where you put your money, on who you employ. Employ women. Now's the time. I came here to speak to you today for quite a bit of time, but I don't need quite a bit of time to tell you that now's the time to invest in women, to hire women, to invest in female-driven companies, and to put your money where women are. The future is female. When I met Muhammad Yunus, the day that he won the Nobel Peace Prize, it was clear to me that his idea of giving microloans to women, because women were the most trustworthy, women were the most likely to pay back those loans. Why? Because women were the people who ran the families. Women were who the children depended on. Women were the nucleus of the family. Women were where you would lean in a crisis. Now Grameen is a global bank. I knew the day that I met him that Grameen would become a global enterprise. Why? Because the future is female. Why? Because women are the nucleus of our existence. And because we want to survive, because our basic instinct is survival. The future is female. Thanks very much. I'm Sharon Stone. Good afternoon.
Indeed, it is a good afternoon, a good day, powerful message. The future is female. We've even witnessed it in this conference when we saw OVP Pamela Mejia winning together with her team. So let's continue to empower the women. Coming up next is another recorded message from Marina Mahathir, a writer, human rights activist. Marina is a newspaper columnist and activist in Malaysia. She led an HIV/AIDS NGO for 12 years, served on the board of Sisters in Islam for 6 years, and currently she chairs the board of Musawa, the global movement for justice and equality in the Muslim family. Marina has also produced TV program, feature films, and a documentary founded Zavigo.com, a website for women and travel. Currently, she hosts Hello Zavigo, an online chat show, and a podcast on books called Busy Reading Books. Penguin Random House C will publish her memoir in November 2021. So let's listen to this message from Marina Mahathir. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Yunus and the Yunus Center for inviting me to speak on your Social Business Day with the very urgent theme of building a new civilization before the current civilization destroys us. This theme may sound pessimistic, but I am one of those who always believes there is hope, as long as we take our heads out of the sand and take action. A new civilization is in fact a reshaping of an old one that has seen humankind enjoy the longest period of peace it has ever known. But now there are forces that threaten to destroy all that calm and harmony that we have been so fortunate to experience for most of our lives. I'm sure my fellow speakers will outline the many factors that are threatening sustainable peace. I would therefore like to focus on just one, and that is inequality among human beings. Today, there is an astounding amount of inequality between different people, whether it is rich or poor, urban or rural, young or old, and between the sexes. Now, we may think that inequality between the sexes particularly has been around for centuries and has not contributed to war. But we can challenge this thinking. In ancient times, when women were very much part of public decision-making, had public status, even ruling their communities, their societies were largely peaceful and harmonious. An example would be Bilqis, the Queen of Sheba, who was a wise queen who did much for the benefit of her people. It's not that there have not been warrior queens throughout history, the queens who would lead the troops into battle. But very few waged war for the sake of it, only defending their people when they are attacked. I would like to put forward a proposal that peace in the family is needed for there to be peace in society and in the world. Why do I say that? If families are the basic unit of a civilization, then it stands to reason that what happens in a family will impact what happens in society at large. For example, if in a family some members have much more power than others, have more say in all decisions affecting the family, while the others are supposed to simply accept and obey, naturally this would carry over into their communities, societies, and countries. This would hardly be a formula for peace, because it is inherently undemocratic. To have democracy in a society, we must have democracy in the family first, where each member is respected and given equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities. This is why we must look at laws that govern the family all around the world. Are they fair to both parents and to their children? Do we still treat women as lesser parents purely because of their sex, that we do not allow them to be guardians to their own children in some countries, or to be able to pass on their citizenship to their children? Or, as in some countries, women are treated no better than minors, unable to make their own decisions even when it comes to life and death. Peace occurs when you view other human beings as equal to you in their potential. This does not depend on their sex, age, or circumstance. Denying these potentials, especially through social sanctions and even laws, is the recipe for distrust. And nothing foments disharmony and even war like such suspicion. My proposal for a sustainable peace is to ensure equality within the family first. Everything begins in the family. Children should not be differentiated because of their sex. They must be taught to respect each other and to understand that neither is inferior to the other, even while each may have different capabilities. This prevents resentments between siblings, friends, schoolmates, and later on among workmates and neighbors. Even more important is to ensure equality between fathers and mothers. This is why Musawa, the global movement for justice and equality in the Muslim family, for which I have the honor of being chair, has been working to assist women's groups around the Muslim world to advocate for a different approach to family laws, one that does not assume that men automatically have superior rights over women and children. The world has evolved, and women are better educated and are earning their own incomes. Yet they are often still not legally recognized as full human beings in so many countries. If we ensure peace and democracy within the family, and society and civilization at large will also benefit. Thank you very much.
Another powerful message for us there from Marina Mahatia, talking about sustainable peace and starting with peace in the family and going out to the rest of the world. Thank you to Marina. Coming up next, we have Professor Felician Avlesi, Rector and Vice Chancellor of the University of Abomi Calavi in Benin. I'm not sure if Professor is still in the call. I know we saw him earlier on.
I don't think he's joining us, Monica. Maybe we move on to the next one.
We move on to the next one. Thank you, Prometheus. Next, we are looking at another keynote speech, a recorded message from Kerry Kennedy, President of the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Organization. She's a human rights activist and lawyer. She authored New York Times bestseller, Being Catholic Now, as well as Speak Truth to Power and Robert F. Kennedy, Ripples of Hope. Kerry has received high honors from President Lech Walesa of Poland for aiding the Solidarity Movement, the Humanitarian Award from the Congress of Nobel Peace Prize laureates, and many other honors. So we listen to the message from Kerry Kennedy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kerry Kennedy, and I'm president of Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights. I'm here today to start by saying happy birthday to my dear, dear friend, Muhammad Yunus. And I hope everybody wishes you the most happy birthday of them all. We're here to talk about what's happening around the world and what we can do about it. Our world today faces a sea of troubles: economic dislocation, skyrocketing inflation, financial upheaval and insecurity, which places billions of women, children, and men at risk, global warming, massive refugee flows, Putin's war on Ukraine, which has caused horrific war crimes, the oil crisis, a massive world food crisis, the prospect of nuclear war, the likes of which has not been seen in the last 60 years since the Cuban Missile Crisis, terrorism, and a worldwide pandemic which has pushed more children into child labor and slavery and targeted women as patients, caregivers, job losers, and soaring episodes of domestic violence. This sea of troubles will not be solved by the current worldwide $111 trillion investment industry, wherein less than 2% of investors are women and underrepresented minorities and people of color. In the face of all this upheaval, where to start? Some say women's empowerment, others say education, still others want to start with saving the oceans. But I think we all know the truth. The truth is that none of these issues will be solved in isolation. The only way to create a world where people are free and live under a system that is fair is for us to start by imagining what that world would look like. What would the schools be like? What would the businesses be like? What would access to weapons look like? How would women be treated? How would we treat the next generation? And what would happen to a journalist who expressed injustice? Would a government leader suggest that he or she would be pleased if a leader revered across the globe was thrown off a bridge? I don't think so. We must imagine the world we want, and then we must change everything, all at once. That's what this conference is all about. That's what every single person here is already starting to do. Imagine how an economy would work if it served society rather than being a slave to profit. That is a revolutionary idea. That is a central vision of a world built not on the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak, but a vision of a world which recognizes that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Here's the good news. We don't have to start from scratch. In 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights set forth the parameters of this brave new world, and the Sustainable Development Goals ratified by the General Assembly of the United Nations has set forth a roadmap to achieve this. Now, some might say, but we can't do it alone. We need governments. We need armies. We need huge multinational corporations. Well, I'd like to say all of those would be helpful, but they are not necessary. When I started working in human rights in 1981, all of Latin America was under right-wing military dictatorships. Today, there's not one left standing. All of Eastern Europe was under communism. Today, there's not a communist government left. All of South Africa was under the height of apartheid. Today, South Africa's had a series of freely elected governments elected by a majority of their people. And women's rights was not on the international agenda. Today, CEDAW, the Women's Rights Convention, has been ratified by more than 185 countries. All those changes took place, not because governments wanted them to, not because huge multinational corporations wanted them to, not because armies wanted them to. In fact, armies and multinationals and governments tried to stop them. They all took place because small groups of determined people harnessed the dream of freedom and made it come true. That's what we're doing here. That's what this conference is all about. So I leave you with this. Hold fast to your dreams, your courage, and your commitment, and wish Muhammad Yunus a very happy birthday. Thank you.
An absolutely
Thank
riveting,
you.
inspiring message from Ms. Kennedy. With that, I have the utmost pleasure of inviting our next speaker, Ms. Li Xin, who is the Managing Editor of Hisin Global, Vice President of Hisin Media, and Managing Director of Hisin Global. Prior to this position, Ms. Xin was the Managing Editor of the Chinese Wall Street Journal and Chinese Dow Jones Newswire. Ms. Xin is the co-chair of the China Council of the World Economic Forum Future Councils. She's also an Aspen China Fellow. I'd request Ms. Xin to please take the floor. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Li Xin, and it's a great honor to be back on the Social Business Day, organized by Professor Yunus and friends from around the world. And I joined it last year and missed the incredible energy, endless innovative ideas, and the down-to-earth can-do spirit that I carried far and for the entire year. 46 years has passed since Grammy Bank was founded by Professor Yunus. And nowadays, we're building a global consensus and shared by a lot of speakers before me that women's empowerment and right to participate in public affairs, either that's via political institutions, via businesses, via social enterprises, via the community roles, is at the center of sustainable development. But there is a lot can be done. I'll give several examples. As a media organization, we follow the news very closely, including those empowering women. And I noticed that in Europe, couple of weeks ago, the EU has reached agreement to improve women's participation on corporate board. That is, by mid-2026, the firm listed on European Stock Exchange should ensure at least 40% of non-executive director, or at least 33% of all directors to be women. Is that encouraging? Yes, but is that globally accepted standard? Not yet. Where I'm located, and many of our participants today located are the developing Asia, it's still rather a different picture. In Southeast Asia, for example, according to a local media survey came out this week, 77 of venture investors headquartered in Southeast Asia don't have a single woman in the investment decision-making role. And 66% of Asia and global investment firms with presence in this region have no female decision maker at all. So if that's the decision-making level, and then what about the social enterprises level? Caixin Global has been partner of China Social Enterprises Award for several years in a row, and we're excited to witness the tide is increasing from awareness to action. Each year, there are more than 1,000 applicants with wonderful projects and all the different models that get us really excited. We got a sense that in China, we also got a sense in the China Forum yesterday, the vibrant discussion, this can-do spirit and energy. And obviously, COVID accelerated the social enterprises as more people searching for purpose and meaning of life than just being on the treadmill every day, working in and out for the job. But there is also a lot of things are still lacking. There is, for instance, a lack of standard and shared consensus on what social enterprises are. There is very unbalanced development. For instance, the most of the social enterprises are still located in coastal China, and in the inland, it's only at a very, very beginning, early stage. And another thing is the skill set needed to be honed, telling the stories better and creating the movement in addition to just do the good deeds. So putting all this together, we are seeing a vibrant picture, a picture that is growing every day, changing every day, but that gives us also a tall call that a lot more can be done. As a media organization focusing on Chinese economy, finance, and business, Caixin has been reported on and inspired by Professor Yunus and the Grameen Bank from the very early days. And you still remember our earliest coverage of Grameen Bank dated to the early 2000s. And in the decades that followed, we kept reporting the development of the Grameen Bank model in China and how Chinese has been inspired by the early pioneers. We saw their strong determination to empower the low-income women and to spread the spirit of social business and its positive impact, not just on China, but going way beyond the border. And in 2019, at Caixin's 10th anniversary, we had the honor to invite Professor Yunus to attend our breakfast meeting and give a keynote speech on financial inclusion shared by a lot of Chinese business leaders. And we also feel greatly honored that Professor Yunus will join the Caixin Summit this year again in the coming week, actually next week, and delighted to have him with us to share his insightful thoughts as well as the inspiring spirit. Before I close, I want to report not just as Caixin's effort as a media organization, but our baby step as the media company that has the convening power. So in addition to reporting on the news, we did our little experiment on empowering women and young people on one major issue defining our time, the climate change issue, by organizing for the first time a training classes for the younger generation, people aging between 16 to 25 in Asia last year. We call that Smart Talk on Climate Change program in collaboration with Yale University Center in Beijing. So the young talents, more than 100 talents from around Asia joined our classes and to meet with Yale professors in the courses. And the final winners, we recommended them to speak, not just at the Caixin platform, but also representing the young generation to speak at the UN organized platforms as well as the keynote speaker. So putting all this together, I remember very vividly that Professor Yunus once said, the experience of Grameen Bank and the social business is a microcosm that can happen globally if we put women at the center and the young people at the center of economic and social activity. So I'm happy to share our learning, our observation, and our action towards that direction. And I'm more here to learn that the experiences, not just in China, but from around the world, that can be inspiring to us all. So thanks again, and I'll carry this spirit with me. I'm reminded of the theme of this year, building a new civilization before the current civilization destroys us. There is a sense of anxiety in this topic, but from anxiety, I also see the urgency to work and take action. Congratulations again on the success of this year's Social Business Day, and happy, happy birthday to our dear Professor Yunus.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shen. We deeply appreciate your time and the address that you've provided to the entire conference. You have our gratitude. Next up, we've got another riveting address from Ms. Shireen Ibadi, an Iranian political activist, lawyer, a former judge, and human rights activist, and founder of the Defenders of Human Rights Center in Iran. In 2003, Ms. Ibadi was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her significant and pioneering efforts for democracy and human rights, especially women's, children's, and refugee rights. Nobel laureate Ibadi's struggles and persistent efforts and works on human rights has inspired an entire generation of activists. Nobel laureate Ibadi remains a strong supporter of all works inspired by her fellow Nobel laureate, Professor Mohammad Yunus. Could I please request the tech team to play the audiovisual?
با چالش‌های متعددی مواجه هستیم. گرسنگی، بحران محیط زیست و تروریسم، جنگ‌های محلی، همه اینها حل نشده، باقی مانده. علتش هم این است که به ریشه بحران‌های جاری که بالاخره میتواند منجر به نابودی تمدن ما بشه نپرداختیم. ریشه همه این بحران‌ها رو بایستی در نبود عدالت اجتماعی، چه در سطح ملی و چه در سطح بین المللی بدانیم. همگی شاهد بودیم چطور روسیه اوکراین حمله کرد. وقتی که پرونده در سازمان ملل متحد مطرح شد، کشور متجاوز با استفاده از حق وتو توانست مانع از صدور رأی بشه. البته فقط در مورد روسیه نیست، بارها و بارها چنین کاری رو چین و آمریکا هم کردن. خب حالا شما من بگید عدالت در این داستان کجاست؟ یا زمانی که فاصله فقیر و غنی حتی در یک کشور مانند ایران آنچنان زیاده که 10% مردم که وابستگان رژیم هستند از ثروت سرشاری برخوردارند و 90% با وجود اینکه منابع غنی در کشور ما هست روز به روز گرسنه تر میشن. عدالت کجاست؟ بنابراین تا ریشه بحران ها رو حل نکنیم ما شاهد بهبود شرایط در هیچ کشوری نخواهیم بود. بیایید به عدالت اجتماعی و پرهیز از هر گونه تبعیض بیاندیشیم و برای اون کار کنیم. مسلماً جلوی بسیاری از فجایعی که تمدن ما را تهدید می کند خواهیم گرفت.
Our sincerest gratitude to Nobel laureate Ibadi for sharing this message to the conference, the 12th Social Business Day conference. We next move on to one of the highlights of this evening. We get to hear from one of the rock stars of the microfinance and social business world. She's Andrea Jung, the president and CEO of Grameen America. Andrea is the former chairman and CEO of Avon Products. A corporate legend, Andrea she's ranked consistently among the top leaders of many illustrious publications, including Fortune's Most Powerful Women in Business, Forbes' Most Powerful Women in the World, and of course, the Financial Times' Most Top Women in World Business. Andrea is also a member of the board of directors of Apple Incorporated, Unilever, Rockefeller Capital, and Wayfair. Andrea, over to you for your address, please.
Thank you so much, Prometheus, and it's great to be with everybody. Thank you so much for having me part of this closing session, and happy birthday, Professor Yunus. We are all at Grameen America decided to celebrate your birthday by dispersing our first loans in our 31st location in Atlanta, Georgia. You and I met in Atlanta, Georgia, when we first talked about my joining Grameen America. It'll be 9 years next year. When we met in Atlanta, we had no operations there, but we both agreed that changing the lives for women entrepreneurs in the United States through microcredit, microfinance was not just going to be a big dream, but hopefully a quick reality. And so my closing remarks and a little bit of my highlight right now this evening is just to share an optimistic story in the middle of an urgent desire on everyone's part over this very important Social Business 2022 session to change the course of civilization, because we all know the world has never needed it more. In the United States, I love Sharon Stone's comment, the future is female, but again, looking at the Supreme Court decisions over the last few weeks, it does feel like we're taking several steps backwards for women, even here in arguably the most developed country in the world. But on a note of optimism, just to give you an update on Grameen America's story, because I think it does prove that the vision that Professor Yunus had in 2008, when I play it out and give you some projections for 2031, I think you'll see that it takes time, diligence, a lot of patience, and a lot of belief, but you can change the world, and you can change the financial system, even in a country as sophisticated in financial markets like the United States. So 2008, we've been through two global crises. Obviously, the 08-09 global financial crisis didn't have the health element of the pandemic, but it was the last crisis where everybody was pulling back on lending. And if you were a woman and you were living in a community of color or a family in poverty, it was pretty difficult to get a loan before 2008 and completely impossible to do so in the 08-09 period because all the banks were pulling back. And that is exactly when Grameen America was born, in the very prescient thought from our founder that this is exactly when women need it the most. And his vision then is now playing itself out 13 years later to an extraordinary success. But no one really knew Grameen. No one understood that micro loans in the United States could mean that much. At those times, it was a $1,500 US loan. And the most common question was, well, what can $1,500 do for a family in the United States? Doesn't seem like a lot of money. And number two was, and if they're not recourse loans and there's no collateral, how are you going to get these women who can't get a loan from any bank in the United States? How are you going to get them to pay back? So I will just fast forward to today, and then I'll take you on a trip to the future. Fast forward to today is that in 2022, by the end of this year, we will really reach $3 billion US of loans dispersed to well over about 170,000 women across the country. We're at 31 locations with our opening of Atlanta on Professor's birthday, but we will open 3 more locations by the end of this year. And so at that time, we will be in 34 locations. And we have been, I think I mentioned for those of you that were on this call last year, that we've been operating virtually. The pandemic had many, many negative things that we had to overcome. But one of the brilliant innovations was the move to Zoom meetings like this, 2,700 center meetings going on every single day, and they have been going on very effectively for the balance of the entire pandemic. And so this gives us, I can give you an example in the last year of the over 170,000 loans dispersed. One was delinquent, one out of 170,000 loans to women who needed the money, who had very big struggles closing their hair salons, their little restaurants, when the state by state, the governments were ordering them to close. This is the record of gratitude and resilience of the Grameen America members. One loan out of 160,000 was delinquent. So we have a 99.8% repayment rate, 13 years into the program in all 31 locations around the United States. And this has led to us looking at the future. We became sustainable. We became a true social business. So we're very proud. I know there are many, many social businesses that we're all very, very, urgently trying to get to scale around the world in all the countries represented here. But even in the United States, back to our very first social business, microfinance, we're proof positive that with some diligence and some patience, it took us again till 2021. At the end of the year, we became economically sustainable, and our surplus prospect is that we will generate almost $150 million of excess surplus that will all go back into expansion in the program by 2030. And so that is the brilliance, obviously, of becoming a true social business here in the United States at scale. By 2031, we will be in 52 cities. By 2031, Grameen America will have given out $20.1 billion of loans to 650,000 women across the United States. Our assumption is that the model that we have successfully created will continue, that they will continue to be grateful to pay us back, but we are going to innovate and continue to innovate. Some of the exciting things we are doing is a member mobile app. The Grameen America mobile app is being developed with everything from loan management, savings, education. So many, many exciting features of this app that is going to be piloted in the fall of 2022, but will be available to all our members, and they're very, very excited about that. So there are many, many innovations that have come about. We have to be nimble and flexible to keep thinking how we can operate. The state laws are very different across the United States. So California, it's not the same as Georgia. It's not the same as New York City, but I think we've got a team of people that really know how to expand nationally, because in many ways it's 50 different countries. But we're very excited about the future. It is a true scaled model. The facts are daunting still in the United States. In 2019, only 4% of loan capital went to women entrepreneurs, 4%, $1 out of $23 still in the United States of America. That's it. 1 out of 2 women in the United States is underbanked or unbanked, and that only got worse during the pandemic. All the government money that was distributed in 2020 and 2021, our members, our families did not receive or participate in that. So Grameen America was more important than ever to help them get through the difficult period of the pandemic and now come out very excited and determined to rebuild their businesses. So, I agree fully with Sharon that the future is female. The future is about entrepreneurs. Another way for me to say it is that there is no future in the United States or in the world, in any of our countries, without women participating equally in the economy. Women are 51% of the world's population, and they have to have the basic human right of access to capital, access to the ability to save and to build their own bank accounts, and in the United States to have their own credit, because without that, they are really disadvantaged versus their male counterparts. So the system won't change, the formal traditional banking system. I do not look forward in the next decade and see any major change. In fact, I'm sure this is the civilization that we're talking about that is going to eat us if we don't figure out the solution. And Grameen started with the program at the Grameen Bank, and proudly being able to replicate in our own way here in the United States, very, very close to the model, but with all the US compliance and innovation that was necessary, has become the solution, the very big scale solution, $20 billion worth of capital to poor women and their families and their pathway to out of poverty through entrepreneurship. That will not just be a dream, it will be a reality by the end of this decade, all really attribute to the vision of Muhammad Yunus, but more importantly to everybody. So many people on this call have been supporters and encouraging us in the United States to prove out this model. So we have a great team who have worked very hard to create what we believe is a very powerful, the original social business of microfinance, make it come true in the United States, so that there are so many supporters now and people who want to get on the bandwagon because they see that this is the way to change the system, as broken as it is and as disadvantaging as it is for women and people of color in the United States of America. To that end, I'll end with the fact that some of you might have seen, we've had a very exciting announcement that Jennifer Lopez, who is a global icon, she is an actress, really the most famous Latina entertainer, dancer, singer, also entrepreneur in the world, became aware of Grameen America. And she has many things she could do, many endorsements she could do publicly for millions of dollars if public companies wanted to do that. But she has decided to devote her time and her energy to really helping Grameen America build our message, particularly for Latina women in this country, that entrepreneurship is the savior, and Grameen America is the program to be involved with. She grew up in poverty. She grew up just blocks away from where Grameen America started in Jackson Heights, in a one-bedroom apartment with a big family, with parents who were really just trying to make ends meet. And she has become the global icon she is, but she has not forgotten her roots. So that is why Grameen America, for her, is an organization she wants to support. So we have a little bit of a video. She's now our national ambassador for our members. She's going to be a spokesperson and help us with education and helping the entire United States ecosystem externally and internally understand the power of the Grameen model of microfinance and how a small loan can change, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lives. So maybe we can just roll that video.
JLo's latest project is about giving back.
Honestly, I'm hoping to kind of change the fabric of America, especially for Latino women.
The music icon, following an introduction by Goldman Sachs, now partnering with nonprofit Grameen America. It's led by Andrea Jung, the longest-serving female CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
So our goal together is by 2030 to give out $14 billion of loan capital.
That makes me smile.
$14 billion. $14 billion. And it's a lot of loans. And we are going to touch 600,000 women entrepreneurs.
Honestly, I'm still pinching myself. I can't believe this is happening.
1 out of 4 businesses are Latinx owned in terms of small businesses in the United States.
1 out of every 4?
Over the last 10 years, they've grown 44%. And for women, Latino women entrepreneurs, the number's even higher.
A 2020 report found that Latino-owned businesses are significantly less likely than similar white-owned businesses to have loans approved by national banks. The biggest hurdle for any minority group?
I think there are so many systemic hurdles, Don, that we're all fighting, but one of them clearly is fair access to capital. And when you look at the pathway to financial inclusion, over 50% of women in America are underbanked or unbanked.
And I want to empower that community even more. And I think, nobody wants a handout. They want to be able to build their own businesses. We want our own opportunities. We don't want to be there just because. We want to be there because we're just as good as.
The average loan size is about $5,000, but along with the money, recipients also receive mentorship and financial literacy education.
These are women who've been historically excluded from the financial mainstream. And often they come to the program with no credit score or a poor credit score because no one's taught them about credit card debt.
And that's where I come in. It's like letting Latina women know, hey, this opportunity exists out here. You can go get this loan. If you need that $3,000 for that first month's rent for that business that you want, you can get it. You can have it. The payback on this is like they pay back the loans like
90s.
quickly. The percentages. She's better with all the percentages and the numbers than I am.
But it's like 99% are paid back.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like one of the best investments you can make in this country, I believe.
Jennifer, why are Latinas so important to this country? What do they bring
Oh my goodness.
that no other group can?
She used a great word, which I use all the time, which is grit. They're just tough. They're strong. They're made from a certain kind of fabric.
Ganas.
Yes. Tienen gana, tienen chispa. They are entrepreneurial. They are inventive. They are creative.
J-Lo's latest project is about giving.
So she has 215 million followers on her social media. And you can imagine that when she posted that herself, that was on one of the TV morning shows, she had millions of views within the first several hours. And our website almost crashed because we had over 3,000 entrepreneurs from Hawaii to, Maine, who wanted to have Grameen America come to their states and to their cities. And so we, understand the power now of after 13 years, really the impact it's making. So thank you all. And again, I think all of us are just trying to prove that we can change. It can happen. And the model of social business allows that scale and that expansion and is the only brilliant solution to our world's problems. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and absolutely leaving us absolutely inspired and hoping that the work that Professor Yunus started 40 years ago and the sheer scale with which it's multiplied and the impact is not only now, probably for generations to come as well. And this is just a small testament to that. Thank you for that, Andrea. We next move on to our keynote by Dr. Antonella Maipoclar, a senior advisor of the Boston Consulting Group. She's a special advisor to the Federal Chancellor of Austria and head of Think Austria, the strategy and planning unit of the Chancellery. Dr. Antonella became one of the youngest partners at BCG and the first female managing director in Germany. In 1997, she opened BCG's Vienna office and led it till 2003. She became global marketing leader in 1999 and member of the European management team between 2002 and 2006. She's also then made it to the Global Exec Committee right after. Dr. Antonella has extensive board experience from both in the profit and not-for-profit sector. If I could please request the tech team to play the audio visual.
Thank you very much, Professor Yunus, for having me join the Social Business Day. I think there is no more important time than now to have this opportunity to talk to each other, to try to find solutions to a situation which is really challenging for humankind. And therefore, I really do appreciate the initiative, and I do appreciate the opportunity to talk to many other like-minded and also not like-minded who are willing to change things. So thank you again. If we want to change things, if we want to achieve a world 3.0, which I think is a very good definition of what we need to achieve, then innovation is at the core, and also individual agency, the capability to take things, take the whole destiny in our own hands and shape our future. And that is what we are trying to do with the Kofi Annan Award for Innovation in Africa, because we see that there is an enormous innovation power in each of us, and particularly there is a lot of innovation power and actually really frugal innovation in the real sense in Africa. And that is why we are trying to identify those entrepreneurs and the teams who are capable to scale up really good solutions. And thank you very much, Professor Yunus, for being part of the jury. Europe plays a very important role in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And we have also not only an important role, but also a great responsibility. Sustainability is important in all areas, but there is one area that we experience now where this is most important, and it's about sustainable peace. How can we achieve that? It is really about thinking about the humankind as something that is connecting all of us and making sure that everyone has the possibility to live in freedom and live the dreams that he or she has in the best possible way. And this is what Europe stands for. So it is quite important for us to export this concept and to make it part of the humankind's DNA. This is just the start of a conversation and also I would say, a good effort to bring people together and to bring innovation to the core. But I really think that we should follow up, and I'm so much looking forward in my own home country, in Italy, that we will continue to discuss this in Turin in the Social Business Forum. So thank you very much for organizing this and for giving all of us the opportunity to bring the best ideas to create the World 3.0. Thank you very much, Professor Yunus.
Our sincerest gratitude to Dr. Antonella for her message. From that, we move on to the final audiovisual address of the evening. Of course, a very special message from Forrest Whittaker, an American actor, producer, director, and activist. Among the innumerable accolades that Forrest Whittaker has received in his almost 4-decade-long career, a few notable ones include an Academy Award, the Oscars, a Golden Globe Award, a British Academy Film Award, and 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards. Beyond his illustrious career on the silver screen and stage, Forrest is widely known for his humanitarian work and activism. In 2011, he was inducted as a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, later receiving a promotion to Special Envoy for Peace and Reconciliation. Forrest stands firmly as a great friend and supporter of the global social business movement and microcredit. If I could please request the tech team for the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to address you today as we celebrate Social Business Day, one of the most meaningful opportunities we have to reflect on the ways we tackle the challenges of our time, such as economic development, social justice, and lasting peace. As UNESCO Special Envoy for Peace and Reconciliation and UN Advocate for the SDGs, I've seen that even as we know these issues are completely interrelated, most of the work on the ground continues to be implemented through individual silos in a bubble. These ignore the clear links between the economic, environmental, and social pillars of sustainable development, which is a contradiction that no one striving to help vulnerable communities can miss. As CEO of an NGO which is active in conflict-affected countries, I've personally seen many ambitious economic projects fail because their location's security suddenly worsens. And I've also experienced how visionary peace-building initiatives can quickly collapse because local populations cannot escape the alternative of conflict and poverty they already know well. These are the type of contradictions that social businesses help to address by integrating social and economic dimensions at the grassroots level. Today, across the world, the movement is growing. Thanks to social businesses and microloan programs, hundreds of thousands of individuals from diverse backgrounds, including vulnerable and poverty-stricken areas, have the capacity to both help themselves by raising their revenue and help the communities by generating relevant social value. The concepts that businesses profit when they align with the welfare of their community, and that social gains are best served if they are economically profitable, are truly brilliant. Like many ideas, they were advocated by many people for a long time, but it took one person and his team for them to become concretized with force and to become globally championed. I'm referring, of course, to my friend Muhammad Yunus, whom I want to congratulate for having helped so many people out of poverty and for inspiring so many of us to engage on this path. In fact, I'm one of the many people who have been inspired by Muhammad Yunus. With the teams of my organization, the Whittaker Peace and Development Initiative, we work in some of the most violent and fragile areas of Africa and the Americas. In places like Chiapas in Mexico, Cape Town in South Africa, the Equatorias of South Sudan, and northern Uganda, to name a few, communities that have been trapped in destructive cycles where conflict and poverty feed on each other with no apparent end in sight. But WPDI believed that there could be an end to these predicaments because we knew there would be an escape from these cycles by providing local youths and women with skills and resources to pursue both social and economic benefits. In Uganda, for example, we have supported Simon, a former child soldier who established an electronic repair shop that doubles as a training center for at-risk youths of the neighborhood. I also think of a groundbreaking project created by two of our youths from Chiapas, Victor and Jose, who created a farming business to help indigenous families grow healthy food for themselves and then sell the surplus at local markets. Today, the project supports around 300 families and has been recognized from the national government, foreign aid agencies, and the United Nations. Last October, Victor was invited to the Climate Conference of Glasgow to showcase his social business as an example of genuinely sustainable, people-centered development. Ultimately, the principle behind the social businesses approach is that there can be no sustainable development if underprivileged people are not supported, empowered, and trusted in their capacity to help themselves and to help others. Trust in people is true currency behind social businesses. It is a value for which we must continue to energetically advocate. This is the reason why we are joining forces today on Social Business Day to convince the world that seemingly vulnerable people actually have tremendous potential for driving transformative change in their lives and in their communities. Thank you for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen.
We appreciate Forrest for taking time out to address the audience through that message. Before we move on to the next set of closing addresses and thank yous, I would like to request our friends, some luminous stars of the social business world who are here on the call, on the conference stage with us. Enzo Curcio, Hans Wright, Saskia Broystein, and Dominic Foster. Guys, if you wouldn't mind turning on your cameras and speaker and just saying hello, we thank you for joining us in this closing ceremony, and just say a quick hello to everyone. We would just a quick sentence each, if that's all right. Do we have them? I think we do.
I see Enzo.
You can see Enzo.
Yes, how are you? I would like to give you all of my hugs from just landed to Ghana in Accra, and I really appreciated this session for two things. First of all, I just hear from Andrew the passion on how exciting is the future. This is a very crucial message in our challenging time, and is related principally with social business. The exciting to the future and social business are the keys. This is very interesting in a time in which no one can dialogue. And principally, I think that we need a dialogue between the society and humanizing the institutions. What does that mean, humanizing the institutions? Because I was so inspired by the social business on this. If we humanize the institutions, as we also humanize the capitalism and the enterprises, we can make the biggest alliance to move forward united and in the best and in a better way. I think that an alliance between institutions, civil society, no state actors, academia, and private sector should be the key of the building a new civilization and a new future. And the social business is a testimony of it. And this kind of alliance will have three effects, as I understood by the all messages that we received in the social business days, to accelerate the process and to accelerate the change, to transform easily the society and the process between difficulties to new opportunities, and to act that we can pass by just chatting or speaking to make actions for a real change. I think a real big change should start about this kind of alliances. Alliances connected with institutions that should be humanized thanks to this kind of dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Enzo. Deeply appreciate your contribution. Thank you. Thank you for saying hi. Hans, a quick hello from you, please.
Yeah, thank you, and bye-bye, Gushti, and keep it bye-bye. Let's say me in one word, we had all our role before the war, we have it in the war, and we have it after the war. And that is in every single part of us is a DNA of making peace. And that's the only thing what counts. And thanks for all of us to be part of a peacemaking process. And thanks to the whole friends in Bangladesh for this incredible job. Bye-bye. Keep it bye-bye.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you for always keeping it bye-bye. Thank you. With that, I'd like to request the vote of thanks. Again, the captain of our ship and our anchor as well, Ms. Lamia Morshed, Executive Director of Yunus Center. Lamia, over to you.
Thank you, Promi. We're coming to the end of our 4-day marathon. And I know the sessions are long and so on, but we feel very greedy to include all the messages, all the talk, all the friends that are coming. We don't know who to leave in and who to leave out. Please bear with us as this program goes on. So I just want to talk a little bit about the statistics of what we've had in terms of viewers, and over the last few days, we've had I've heard from the team, we've had 1,200 people joining from 77 countries. We had 15,000 viewers for each of our live sessions on average. I understand the highest viewership at one point was 42,000 views. So we've had all of these, so pretty astounding. We've had more than 200 speakers. I mentioned 152 at the start, it's grown to 200 speakers. And so it's just been really huge and massive. And basically it's a big co-creation. It's a big co-creation. And I have to please now thank everyone who helped put this together with us, because it's really is a massive collaboration. So first of all, I want to thank our co-hosts. 1 second, I want to just mention them by name. Sorry. The 6 universities who co-hosted with us: Catholic University of Zimbabwe in Harare, Tangaza University College in Nairobi, Kenya, Kampala International University in Uganda, Makerere University Business School in Uganda, University of Abomey Calavi in Benin, and Gut School in Bangui, Central African Republic. And thank you so much for staying with us patiently through all these days, organizing sessions, to the Vice Chancellor and the leadership for supporting this program. So thank you to you. I want to then thank our more than 200 speakers who have joined us, the VIP speakers, the social business, microfinance practitioners, the YSBC representatives. I want to thank our partner organizations who helped co-create the sessions. That's GCL, Hans's team, YSB, Saskia's team, YY Foundation, Dominic, YEH and YSH, Environment Hub and Sports Hub, and their teams, Enzo for supporting us, all the country forum organizers that have been powering also the wider program of our Social Business Day, Yunus Thailand, I should mention as well, and all those VIPs and luminaries who sent us recorded messages and speeches. Thank you very much for those. For the next segment, I actually have to mention by name by the persons who've been supporting. This includes all the MDs and advisors of the Grameen organizations and the Yunus organizations in Bangladesh, Professor Latifi, Nurjan Begum, Mr. Shahjahan, Mr. Imam Sultan, Mr. Mahmoud Hussain, Ms. Ashik Chaudhry, Ms. Rosetta Haq, Mr. Ashraful Hassan, Ms. Nazreen Sultana, Ms. Nazrul Haq, Mr. Moinuddin Chaudhry, Mr. Shamsul Ahmad, Mr. Biplob, Mr. Anwar Hussain, Mr. Khalid Saifullah Chaudhry, Mr. Qazi Sultan Ahmed, Mr. Ratan Nag, Mr. Babul Shahab, Mr. Abdul Hai Khan, Mr. Sohail Ahmed, Mr. Nazmul Islam, Ms. Niru Shamsar Nahar, Ms. Mofizul Islam, Mr. Shamsud Doha, and our advisors Salim Ahmed Khan and Syed Zakir Hussain. I want to thank them because they have been behind organizing this and also have given their valuable time to organize, speak at the events and give messages and prepare videos and also advise and inform the country forum meetings. Thank you. The next I have to mention, and at the end, I would like to actually call everyone whose names I've mentioned to put on, we have some of them with us to put on their screen so we can say thank you to all of you. The next is the YY Ventures team. They have been incredible. They have also co-created this with us. Shazib, Wahida, Lamia, Sakib, Mazba, Maisha, Ozer, Rifa, Nanzifa, Inshira, Shanto, Mustafiz, Raida, Sadia, and Purbita. Thank you very much for this was as much your co-creation as ours and everyone else's. So thank you very much for that. I want to thank our Emcees who've been working tirelessly. Promi, first of all, Monica from CUZ, Robert Akoko from YY Foundation, Ozer and Lamia Hafiz from YY Ventures and Impact Hub Dhaka, and our very own Zinat Islam, who's been working. And finally, and I have to mention everyone by name, is our team at the UNO Center, who've really worked, I can't say day and night, for the last 6 months, I would say, on this. This is Urmi, Aziz, Zinat, Shihab, Shabir, Sadia, Monica, Rakib, Arman, Zohir, Rina, Milon, Shoikot, and our other office support staff. And thank you so much. Thank you very much for all of your help and support. Can I just, before I hand over, ask everyone to just put on your screens if I've mentioned your names, so we can just give you a wave and a big thank you. Can you do that? Thank you so much. Thank you so very much for that. So basically the theme in 1 minute was building a new civilization before the current civilization destroys us. This is a very big topic, but the one thing I have learned after working 30 years with Professor Yunus and with my other colleagues here in Bangladesh is that even though we have very big goals and we are, like we heard from Andrea, now billion-dollar organizations working nationwide or globally, that it all starts with the smallest action and with the smallest step, and that no person, no matter how young or old they are too insignificant to start taking action today. And that is, I would say, the essence of the 3-0 Club initiative that Professor Yunus started last year with kids starting at the age of 12 to start taking action to change our world. We have to do this, all of us together. And we have to also have 3 things, I think, which is the commitment and the belief about what we are doing, and also have the courage not to give up, because we will face opposition. We will face opposition, sometimes very significant opposition, but we must carry on, and that's the only way we can succeed. So I wanted to say thank you again for joining us for these 4 days. It's very emotional for all of us, I think, and thank you all the teams for everything that you've done to make this a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lamia. Thank you for that acknowledgement to the entire universe who's sort of put this together. Thank you for anchoring it in and continuing to captain us forward. Again, the next address is what we are always waiting for when we come to all the conferences. A person who's, as Lamia said, is he probably epitomizes persistence. The way in which over the last 4 decades, he's pushed through all the hurdles, starting from the very first ones he faced in the villages, to the banks, to the mammoth challenges that he faces on a daily basis, yet he continues to work for humanity. And he will not only have impacted the past 2-3 generations, the current one, but maybe many generations to come as well. And it's very difficult not to get a bit emotional and impassioned in doing his introduction, because that is the extent of his impact. That is the scale, the reach of his work. Without further ado, as always, it gives me immense pleasure to invite to address Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I wanted to give big applause for all the people Lamia has just mentioned. For them, let's give a big applause for them. The fantastic work. Absolutely. All
Please
of
turn
us.
on your cameras, everyone. Please turn on your
Everyone do that. And also all the university campuses where they are doing the physical one, we are doing the virtual one, they are doing the physical one. So we want to give you all the Makerere and Tangaza and Kampala and Abome, Calabar, and all the universities and Catholic University, all the campuses where you are having physical conferences. And thank you for doing that for 4 days physically. Even we in the other end doing virtually, getting tired of the long hours that we have to put in. I can imagine what is happening on this side of the physical part of that. And thank you for doing that, going through that and watching and listening to all these speeches. And thank you for all my friends who are present right now. Fantastic group of friends we got at the closing session with Zanelli and Becky and Andrea and Hans and Enzo and everybody else here. So I would like to thank you for being with us on the closing session. It's when Lamia gave me the whole program at the beginning, and I looked at it, pages and pages of program. I said, my God, how are we going to go through it? It's going to be very tiresome in doing that. Now we come to the end of it. And I feel sad that it's over. Well, I was worried at the beginning. Now coming to all the 4 days of this marathon program, as Lamia mentions, now I feel sad that it's over because it's such an enthusiasm. It's an excitement to see people talking about it and so on. And when we decided on the subject of the conference of this year, Social Business Day, everybody's worried. What is it? Or building a new civilization. How do you do that, new civilization? And before the current civilization destroys it, people thought maybe nobody will be interested in a subject like that. But we pushed through because we thought it's very important for us to do that, making sure that we communicate what we feel about it. It's not something that we do it to create a kind of a sensation. It's not about sensation. They're happening, things are coming in a way that looks like we don't have much time left. And we're saying that even before the pandemic. Imagine what happens after the pandemic. And I was mentioning during my participation, saying vaccine has become the symbol of this civilization that we have. Money became more important than people's life. People just ignored that people's life issue because they were so busy making money. And that's, I said, is a very symbol of this whole civilization that we have. So that civilization has brought us to a place that we have no scapegoat anymore. We are squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. You can try to imagine that no, it will continue. Let your imagination make it continue. And what will happen? Will global warming will disappear? No, no way. It's not going to disappear, no matter how much promises we make on the surface, but still we are not touching the real subject of that. And will wealth concentration will disappear? No way. It is getting worse every day. When we are having this conference and this session, many billionaires and new billionaires are created. Many more people became poor during this period. So this is the way it's going. The end is only a collapse of the whole system. That's why the whole thing I was trying to raise during this conference, that let's pay attention to this. This is collapsing. It has no chance of getting away. It's getting more violent, more aggressive, and the Ukrainian war shows it. After all these years, all these movies and the films and the books that you have read about the Second World War, how terrible it was, etc., and you thought war is over for this planet. It comes back, and comes back and threatened in a bigger, much bigger war with the nuclear weapons and the tactical or whatever weapon they talk about. But they come back and say, whatever you thought is just a kind of a window that we gave you. but we'll be back because armament industry is busy making more armaments, more weapons, so that you buy them because this is their business. They want to make money, just like a vaccine. Vaccine is to cure people. The armament industry is to kill people, but killing people is a big business, and they have to do something about it. So it's built into the system. So this is the direction that we are going. And when people ask me about how do you do that, how do you make it happen, and I give my simple answer as I always do. I said, you take the first step. If you take the first step, it will be beginning of a 1,000,000 miles journey, and you'll get there because you took the first step. Because if you don't take the first step, it's over. So this is it. We have to make up our mind, make it happen. And people get worried about this when during this discussion, I see that worry that we have to abandon this civilization that we have gone through. It's all over. You have to build again a new civilization piece by piece. I try to cool them down. I said, look, that's not what we're saying. When we say a new civilization has to build, that doesn't mean we come to a tabula rasa. Everything is nil. Everything is a starting point. Nothing is functioning. That's not what this civilization, changing of civilization is all about. And I try to explain by saying, if you imagine a civilization like a vehicle, like a car. So if you want to make this transition from one civilization to another civilization, you don't throw away the whole car. You still need the wheels. You still need the body. You still need the cushions. You still need the steering wheel inside, but it will be designed differently. It will be purposed differently. That's the whole thing. It's a purposing part. It's not about throwing away everything. All the elements of the civilization that we built today, everything will be useful, but it will be purposed differently. That's what the idea. So when we talk about social business, business is always there. We're not throwing away business. We're simply saying a business with a different purpose of solving problem. So we have, by switching from the social from the money-making business to social business, is you're just taking the business in a different character. You give a new character to it. You need a new purpose to it. That's piece by piece. That's what we are appealing. But check out what is the purpose you have, everything that you do, so that you can, piece by piece, we bring it up so that we can build a whole new civilization step by step. We have gone a long way already when we talk about entrepreneurship for all, and that's big decision. It's not a simple decision, because if you believe in it's a universal entrepreneurship for all people, you have to redesign everything. Your education system, your business system, and everything, because I can do that. I'm an entrepreneur. All you need to do, address the financial system. All the trick is in the financial system. We made a beginning in the financial system. That's what the microcredit is all about. So it's not something you are trying to invent from 0 point. You're already ahead. And that's what makes us very exciting when Andrea comes here and talks about her experience. Amazing. It's 2008. There's nothing, zero. Now she's talking about billions of dollars. How dare she says that? Billions of dollars. And say one single loan default out of thousands and thousands that you have been given. What kind of thing it is? Is it a fiction or is it reality? That's the whole issue. If somebody says it, if it's other than Andrea, if somebody else says it, you say, she makes all kinds of fiction. She's good in the fiction telling. She's not in the real world. She is in the real world. We are in the fiction world, creating another fiction for ourselves, destroying ourselves and ignoring it, so on. So that's what I was trying to appeal to people, that please, you have a chance, because if you miss this chance, we're all gone, finish. Nobody is going to save us anymore. So we have to save ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. So all we have to do in the vehicle that we are changing, this new vehicle that we are creating, the new civilization, you see all the things, all the elements are there, reorganized, the purpose and so on. And even the fuel, the difference between the old car and the new car, the fuel is different. In one, you have the fuel of greed. Greed drives this car. And we say, no more the fuel. We change the fuel. We say human values will drive this car. That's a big change. The moment you do that, it's car. But how does the engine run in this car? What is the fuel you put into this car? That's it. Once it's a greed, because that's what all the fuel that we have in the old civilization is greed. And that's what the vaccine, symbol of the vaccine that we talk about. Here we replace that fuel. We create a new fuel. We already have it. Human values. We discover ourselves. This is, the greed has removed all our human values, all our human instincts, and so on. We want to rediscover ourselves, bring it out who we are, and bring that fuel to this new vehicle, and it becomes a new civilization. That's all it takes. And that's why we are talking about 3-0 world, 3-0 club, because 3-0 club is the exercise of transition. How do you do that? You have to get rid of those habits, the addiction to the drugs that you have, addictions that made it. So how do you get over this addiction? You say step by step, reduce global warming personally. I reduce personally a little bit of the addiction to global warming. I do that and I practice it. I reduce my intake of meat, because meat leads to global warming. I reduce my use of fossil fuel, not using the vehicles run by the thing. Instead of 7 days a week, I make it 6 days a week, 5 days a week, and so on. So this is the direction we're talking about. We are not saying that overnight, suddenly we get a brand new package comes, we are open the branch and then plug it in, and the new civilization is. New civilization is not a plug-in civilization. It's a built, it's step-by-step built. It's us to create the civilization. So this is the discussion that we had. And when looking back with this social business day that we have observed, it is the 12th social business day. It took us 12 years to come to this place. But what we have done during the 12 years of our work and all the thinking, all the work, the demonstrations of our capacity to undo things and do things differently, we come to the 12th edition of this Social Business Day. Almost all the 12 years of quality and input that goes into other 11 years came back in 1 year. All the things is tightly packed and very neatly organized. And that's what the beauty of this 12th Social Business Day. We have a new way of moving forward. That's the direction we want to go. And I'm very happy that everybody responded so warmly. Everybody that Lamia wrote to, they responded very warmly. They came back, and very happy that you all could come. And we see from 12th to Social Business Day what we have in the 13th Social Business Day. Wonderful things we can do by 13th Social Business Day. That's the hope. That's the direction. That's the way we want to go. And thank you very much for being with us and being part of us. And also as a family members, you have to be with us. There's no other way. It's our Social Business Christmas. This is our Social Business Eid celebration. So we have to be together and make sure that we create the world that we want. We don't want to submit ourselves to something somebody made and made it wrong. We want to make it correct, make it right, and make it happen. All the elements are there, all the presentations made, they just simply elaborated the elements. We want to put this together and make a beautiful vehicle with a beautiful fuel to run it, and make it a social business world, a 3-0 world, and 3-0 clubs for young people to transform their ideas and things, to see the world in a different way. And thank you very much. It's been a long day, so I don't want to extend it anymore. As I said, I feel sad, but I have to, even feeling sad, I have to stop and let the moderator takes it over. But before I leave, I want to thank you for everything that you have done and being a wonderful member of our family. We feel so proud of our family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you again for leaving us inspired as always. Could I please request everyone who's on the call to please turn on your cameras? We'll do a quick photo of this closing session with everyone here, if that's possible. And Aziz, once you've got that, if you wouldn't mind letting us know, please bear with us for a few more minutes, please. Requesting everyone on the call who's here, please turn on your cameras and we'll do a quick photo capture.
Romy, I forgot the interns and volunteers. They also work really hard. I see some of them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ms. Bhai, let us know once you're done.
3 zeros.
30. Okay, 30.
Christina, put on your Enzo.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Bhai.
Thank
Really
you. Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Before we dash, we just wanted to tell everyone that this is just the start of the events, and we've got all roads lead to Turin in Italy, where we've got the Global Social Business Summit coming up on the 7th and 8th of November. Of course, we've got the SBAC, the Social Business Academia Conference. So there's a lot to look out to for the rest of the year. Please stay with us. And of course, we'll continue to inspire each other and do great work.
Hans can invite everybody,
Yes.
if you want. Hans, invite to Turin.
We are all invited hardly to come to Turin, and what we all deliver in this great family, and I'm also very happy to be part of a family. We always delivered it with joy, and the most joy would be if you travel, come to Italy, and be our guest in Turin.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hans. Thank you. On that note, I think we have to always leave it with super happiness and leave it with joy. And as a result of which, I'd request the tech team to play a cultural performance sent by our colleagues and friends at Makerere University Business School, Uganda. So we leave on a very happy and a joyous moment. Let's please play the audio visual of the cultural performance.
Obutonde bw'ensi busaanawo, ebbula ly'emirimu, obwavu, ebiragala mu bavubuka, amavubuka basaanawo, ate nga gy'emiti emito. Bannange kano kabaato obudde bukaaye, mwangu etwegembe. Bannange kano kabaate, ddala maama obudde bukaaye, bannange kano kabaato obudde bukaaye, mwangu etwegembe. Bannange kano kabaate, ddala maama obudde bukaaye, tunuulira maama obutonde bwa Uganda abange busaanawo. Maama yange ddala maama obudde
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, we draw an official close to the 12th Social Business Day. Again, friends, if you're around, feel free to stick around and have discussions, but we will now call an official end to the proceedings. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye,
Professor Yunus. Good
brother.
night, Mamiya.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Our friends at Benin and Makerere is still there. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.